When Kunle first arrived at the village, the villagers were terrified. They had heard stories of a beast roaming the forest, and now it was standing before them, but as time passed, they realized the beast will never harm them. The villagers built a small shelter for Kunle in the forest, providing him food and water, but there was one place Kunle visited every day, waiting for the Ayotan grandmother Elara had spoken of. One night, as Kunle sat in his hut, he heard a sound that made his heart race, a woman's voice, soft and trembling, coming toward his hut. He came out to a young woman running through the forest. Akua looked scared, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she glanced over her shoulder. Kunle's instinct was to help her, but he hesitated. What if she saw him as a threat? Before he could decide what to do, the woman stumbled and fell. She looked up, her eyes wide with fear, and Kunle realized she had seen him. Then she said, her voice shaking, "Help me." Kunle helped her to her feet and led her to his hut. It was a small, simple place, but it was warm and dry. He gave her a blanket, then sat by the fire and talked into the night. Kunle felt like human again, his heart aching for her. He knew what it was like to feel trapped, to believe there was no way out. Kunle said, "You're safe now." One day earlier in the village of Oje, Aqua's life had been shaped by the legacy of her mother, a priestess of the old gods and a keeper of rituals and healing magic. Though Aqua had fled her village before fully embracing her heritage, she carried within her latent abilities tied to Ayotan, gifts passed down from her mother, waiting to awaken. Aqua's life in Oje had been harsh and unfair. Her father, a kind but poor farmer, had fallen into debt after a bad harvest. Desperate to repay what he owed, he promised Akua's hand in marriage to a wealthy man named Olatunji, but Akua refused. Olatunji was a cruel and greedy man, and she knew marrying him would mean a life of misery. She begged her father to find another way, but he was out of options. "I won't do it," Akua said firmly. That night, she packed a small bag and ran away. But Olatunji was not a man who accepted refusal. When he learned Akua had fled, he sent his men after her. They chased her through the forest, their torches lighting up the night as they shouted her name. Akua ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest, leading her to meet Kunle. When Akua woke up in the morning, she found the hut empty. As she sat up, there was a soft knock at the door from Tinuk. A villager who brought some fruits said, "Kunle asked me to bring this to you, and he had to leave early, but he said he'll return tonight." For 3 days, Akua had watched the same routine play out. Every morning, Kunle would leave the hut before she woke up, and every night he would return with a quiet apology and kind words. At first, she didn't think much of it. She was grateful for his help and the safety of the village, but as the days passed, her curiosity grew. On the 4th morning, Akua woke up early, but laid still, listening as Kunle moved quietly around the hut and left, and she waited a few moments before going after him. Akua looked around, expecting to see Kunle walking ahead of her, but he was gone. She frowned, scanning the area. Where could he have gone so quickly? Akua decided to trace his path. She walked toward the village market square, where she met Tinuk, who gave her a basket of yams, but there was no sign of Kunle. Akua walked around the market towards the village square, her eyes searching for any clue. Suddenly, a beast appears. As Akua walked, she heard a low growl behind her, its glowing eyes fixed on her, and it looked like something out of a nightmare. But there was something strange about the way the beast looked at her. Its eyes weren't filled with rage or hunger, they were filled with longing. Akua's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The beast took a step closer, its growl growing louder. Aqua didn't wait to see what it would do next. She turned and ran. Aqua ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest. She could hear the beast behind her, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to get away. But the beast was faster. It caught up to her as she stumbled and fell, her back hitting the ground as the beast loomed over her. She closed her eyes, bracing herself for the worst, but the attack never came. Instead, she opened her eyes and saw the beast's form had become a spurt, with Kunle kneeling beside her, his eyes filled with tears. "It's you,"